Okay, we're going to get started. This is Dave Curley instead of Doug Brinks today. Doug is on. They're saying they can't hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, because you're talking. All right. Well, be quiet because I'm talking now. So Doug Brinks is out of town. I think he's online, but he couldn't be here in person. So welcome to new members and guests. If you're a new member, you raise your hand. You're all welcome. Your family. Come in, open the refrigerator. Whatever. But if you have a minute to stand up, if you're new, first time new, and you haven't told us about yourself before, stand up real quick and maybe just give us a name and what you do. Okay. Okay, and you're Terry's grandson, is that correct? Welcome. All right. Well, you might be in luck because there's a couple machines available today. So let's see. Any guess? Go ahead. Okay. Okay. Great. You'll be hooked like everyone. Somebody else? Okay. Okay. All right. Was there anybody else?
Dave, we got to, oh,
Just one. All right. Thank you. Dave, did you have someone online?
yeah, we got a couple guests online. Greg and Greg, if you want to unmute and introduce yourselves, that's great. Or if not, that's fine too.
Yeah, I'm Greg Sank from up in Leland, Traverse City area. Thanks for the invite from Dave Bungie.
You're welcome. Well, you're welcome from Dave Bungie.
Yeah.
And again, this is Greg Whitaker. I'm calling from Duluth, Minnesota. And I also was invited by Dave. Kind of interesting to see how things are run elsewhere in the turning world.
All right, sounds good. Okay, dues for 2024, if you haven't paid them, you probably didn't get any notices, but that's $35. Members' benefits are supplies, our library, sharpening station, which we have both back now, and mentorships rather. So if you're a mentor, just pop your hand up. We have them kind of all around the area, and they're willing to help you out in their area of expertise or anywhere, any area probably. We have raffle table, and if you, Tom is generally the guy who does the raffle tickets. And in the treasurer's report, we are at $13,394. And if you need any additional information, we can get that to you. It does come out in the newsletter. And so that's the old business. And I'm just going to do a couple of plugs. Doug Brinks has getting a new lathe, and he's got a Powermatic 3520B for sale at $3,400. And also Bruce has a Powermatic. It's the same model, I think. And what is your price? His is cleaner, yeah. Well, Doug uses his. Well, I know you have the other lathe there that you use more often. So, But what's the price on yours? Okay, that's a nice feature. All right. Yep, I've seen it. It's,
She only drove at the church on Sundays?
all right. Today's demo is Tom Hale. And if you don't know Tom, most of us I think do, but he's pretty active in AAW. I just picked up a couple of magazines because I knew I'd find something of his in here, and here's a whole members gallery page on here. I'll pass this around. You can take a look at this. He's going to be doing the weed pots that are similar to the ones that are on the back, right-hand side, my right-hand side there. In May, we have Ron Vincent, I think, if he ever comes back from Florida. And he's got napkin holder texturing he's planning on doing. And Ron Campbell is in June. It's called Turning in the Dark. And I'm not sure, if we're going to be in the dark until then or not. But so one thing that is coming up, if you're not aware, Regional Arts Competition, Festival of the Arts, those pieces are due by the end of the week. They are taking in pieces on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I believe. A couple things I want to mention is I haven't looked outside, but the Woodcraft has asked us to park in the back, park on the side. Don't take all the spaces up front for normal customers. Use the main entrance. They also say no wandering around in here, other than this area right here. Everything on the shelves is property of theirs, so. Let's see. Okay, Bruce Dahl, why don't you pop up here real quick and give, Bruce is from the Fallsburg Village, and he's gonna,
Hi, everyone.
why don't you go ahead and
I'm
speak.
Bruce.
Why don't you go ahead and speak right into the mic?
Hi. I always sound like Kermit when I talk into a mic, so. I'm from the Fallsburg Village celebration. We have it this year on the 27th. It's in, obviously, Fallsburg Village, historic village in Lowell, just past the bridge. And this is the third year we're having this. We have an artisans marketplace, and I'm inviting anyone who would like to come to that. It would be great. It is a juried market, so you have to, I think everyone here would probably be fine, but we've already had to turn away like 4 or 5 of the 30 that have applied. So it's everything from, everything is handmade, and it's just beautiful stuff that people wanna sell and show people. $30 for a 12 by 12 booth for the day, $60 for a double booth, and it's not just that marketplace. We have a car show right across the street, classic cars. Last year we had 80 cars. This year we're doing cars and motorcycles, so that'll be kind of exciting. And then we have 13 bands playing during the day throughout the village. The village, 19 acres with 5 different buildings, 5 different places to have things happen. Antique car show, antique tractor show, lots of food. Beer tent. This is the first year doing a beer tent, so we're going to see how that works. And root beer tent even too. So, and we have a guy that makes homemade ice cream right there, so you can get nice ice cream floats. But I will leave this information with you guys. There's a couple forms here and a couple cards for it. If you don't want to be in it, you should come out and see it, because it really is, it's a really fun day. And we had about 2,500 people out there last year. So the 27th of July. Just one day. Yeah, we're working on that. Thinking maybe next year, maybe 2 days. But we have to see if we can increase the show up to about 100 booths, then we would consider doing that. So, all right. Well, thank you. Your stuff is just beautiful out there. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay, does anyone else have anything they need to announce? Bruce? Or we already kind of talked about your lathe, so. Anyone else? Okay, then let's see what we got here. So I think Dave, what's your last name for me again? Yeah. Buckin. He's offered to photograph our pictures, or photograph our items. But we can start show and tell, and I'll go first because I'm right here. And basically just come around this way and then funnel up the middle when you're done, so. Okay, all right. So these are some mushrooms that I had turned. I turned a lot of things I do is sassafras. Before I ever even joined a club, I kind of found a lathe in the garage that was my wife's grandfather's that she inherited, and it was kind of in the garage for like 10 years before I ever monkeyed around with it. But I would turn a lot of mushrooms, just things that I just didn't really know what to turn. So some things just look like mushrooms, but these have kind of evolved into, texturing and dry brush painting. People over the years, you take a class in this, you take a class in that, whatever, you see things on YouTube, and that's what these have evolved to. So that's it for me. Go get the next guy up. Thank you. Now let me get all my stuff off of here.
My name is Carl. My name is Carl Johnson. Hear me okay? And I want to tell you about the Eclipse reunion and some things I made for the reunion. I like to make things that tell a story, or at least are part of a story. So if you indulge me a few minutes, I'll tell you the story of the Eclipse reunion. I was talking to my nephew. He bought a house east of Indianapolis, a little place called Knightstown, about an hour east. And I was looking at it right after I read about the eclipse. And it turns out that he is directly in the center line of the eclipse. So he would get 4 or 5 minutes of totality if the weather was good, which it turned out it was very good. So I got the idea that what causes an eclipse? You have 3 spheres, the sun, the moon, the earth. A sphere in profile is a circle. I can make circles on my lathe. So for Christmas, I learned how to make these from one of our presenters a few months ago, the spinning buttons. There we go, okay. The kids love these. I made some tops, and I sent those to all the grandkids and nieces and nephews for Christmas. And then I took Ken's class in faceplate turning, and I learned how to turn a bowl like this. I call it a bowl. So I made 8 of these for the family. We had 8 families from 6 states for 2 or 3 days before the eclipse, and each of them got this. It's inscribed on the back with the date, some of the people who were there, the material and all that. So anyway, not real spectacular stuff I made, but just to give you an idea of how you can find a story to tell also in your work. Thank you.
Yeah, I can be trained.
Presidential material.
My name is Stan Moberg. My wife and we discovered a wood shop in Holland at a senior center. It's about a 4,000 square foot wood shop. It has just about everything you need, and what they really have is a lot of clever people who will show you what you need to know if you don't know it. So anyway, we've been there about 7 or 8 years, and we started making segmented bowls. And it turns out I like making bowls. In fact, it's like a addiction. So there's segmented bowl, and I really like curly maple. This one's curly maple, a walnut bottom, some Spectre plywood rings here, and then I think this one is cherry. I forget. I got a good memory, but it's short. So I like making bowls. Make 100 of them. Not 100. We make a lot of them. So that's about it. This is my show and tell. Okay, thanks.
This is my Arizona Bluebird. I'm Ron Campbell. I've been turning birds now for almost a year. This started out as a bowl, okay? You know how we leave on a big bowl, we leave the tailstock up and you get this thingamajig coming out, okay? So I had to get it out and shorten the sides so I could make a cut here, so I could tilt the bird's head. This is, the biggest problem I faced was how to mount it. I wanted it to look like it was coming in for a landing. So I called my coach, Steve Lohr. He came out, he was there 15 minutes. I carried the cholla in, he said, well, we'll mount it on there. I've got some, these are not Joe Sanyo, and I apologize, I forget what paint I'm using. All the base paints are golden. They have more pigment. Yeah, it's easier to apply. And the last coat is iridescence. And that's the one I don't remember. And I'll post it on Facebook, a photo of the jar of paint. Last art show I did in South Bend, I had these books that went with the birds. And when a customer spends that much, they get a book with it. So they got the piece on the shelf, and they got a book on the coffee table. That's my story. Oh, I do have openings. They've extended more people availability in my class in Columbus, Ohio. 4th and 5th, Saturday and a Sunday. If you need a room, let me know. Cheryl Lewis, one of my instructors, is a travel agent. I had a tough time getting a room. It's Ohio State's graduation. Bad timing.
I'm Gary Humphreys. I'm the membership secretary, so I stand in the back and happy to deal with any questions with that and the email communication. I've been turning for 2 years. Jeff Grill is my mentor that as I approach retirement, I asked him to take me under wing, so I've been turning about 2 years. Last month, our demonstrator did a natural edge bowl, so I decided I'll make a natural edge bowl. This one is maple. I'm getting most of my wood from the neighborhood. When I see a arborist come through the neighborhood cutting down a tree, I'll stop by and say, hey, could I get a section of that? Oh, back in December, a huge sycamore tree was being taken down, and boy, that really looked exciting. Sycamore, when it's green, it has a beautiful golden copper wood, and there are rose red and bright red. It's just beautiful. So I wrestled with some huge pieces and got them cut down and rough turned. And you know what? As they dried, all the color went away. This is sycamore. This is sycamore. This is sycamore, and it ultimately has a pretty grain, but I won't work with it anymore because in drying, there's a piece that I brought in case someone wants to be artistic with it. It cracks a lot. It had a little knot in it, and with drying, the whole thing, the whole wall, it's still turnable, and again, you artistic people putting some resin in there, you could fix it. That's why I thought, well, let people that know more about it have a chance at it. But it gets little cracks in it. And with all the work that we put into it, I'm not gonna work with sycamore anymore, but I thought, hey, I'll show you what I did, because I've gone through at least a dozen or more different species of woods, and now I understand why we like cherry and maple and white oak. So it's fun, and this is a good group, although I've only been turning a couple years. When they needed a volunteer for membership, yeah, I haven't met a bad guy among you. We're all pretty well-rounded guys.
I just want to put in a plug for Sycamore because I like it. So now he might have just got a bad piece or a bad tree. So it could be, yeah.
My name's Terry Leafers. This is a pen that I turned. Oh. The materials were given last month with a requirement that you take the material and turn it and bring it back. So I fulfilled my obligation there. Yay for me. This is a piece of hornbeam crotch that a friend gave me. I rushed it a little bit. It was probably 3/4 dry after I rough turned it. But I'm turning to like the bowls that are not completely dry when they're rough turned, because I like how they kind of get lumpy and out of shape. Looks more like an antique bowl now. But it's hornbeam. Seems to be really heavy for the amount of wood that's here. It's a small tree, doesn't get very big in diameter, but it's hornbeam. It's what the guy that gave it to me said it was hornbeam. He's pretty knowledgeable about trees, and I looked it up. There is a hornbeam.
My name is Jonas Kaspersky. I've been turning for 3 months now, around there, on and off, a few more years, but this is one of the first few bowls I've made out of mahogany. It's probably the favorite ones I've made so far, and glad to be here. Thank you.
My name is Rich Scripps. I'm still new to the group and loving it. This is I printed this article off of Woodworkers, what's it called? Woodworkers Journal. It's a Rockler publication. Sorry, probably shouldn't say. But it intrigued me, and I didn't go right to work on it, but I did print the article. If you'd like to see it, it's not complete, the printing thing, so there's parts missing. But then I got to reading it, and I got so puzzled by the idea. What we have are basically 5 cutting boards, and they're all different, and then you make a bowl out of it. But there's a fun kind of a catch to this. So I started with a cutting board kit right here from Woodcraft. And each layer, see if I can do this right now. So they do come together. Come on. So that when you're all done stacking them, they kind of have the appearance of a chord system. There, isn't that fun? Is that showing up on that? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh, now I got to fix it for the camera. So anyway, I had a blast doing it. Now I've got the picture in my head. I want to make another one. So that's it. Thank you.
He had a question.
Yeah, you cut them out and then put bottoms back in them, or what? There's basically 5 cutting boards. And so this biggest one, I didn't even cut anything out of it. I just cut it into a circle. The second one, I cut a circle, but it gave me a big ring left over, and that becomes the first one here. And the third one has 3 rings, so you can see they kind of all stack up on top, so that you see, it's kind of hard to get in my.
The cutting board is the 5 cutting boards are stacked, and as you cut them out, they become.
Yeah, so this top one, I cut into 5 circles, right? And I ended up with a coaster. But the second one, I cut 4 circles, and then 3 circles, and then 2 circles, and 1. it's hard to picture. That's why I had to do it. I had to solve my curiosity, so. All right, thank you.
That's embarrassing to follow you guys that actually know how to do things, but I'm still learning. So here it is, a little cherry bowl. And I had fun. Can you zoom in on that? So I just want to show off, so thank you guys.
Hello, I'm Ken. What I did here was basically little platters out of a Banksia pod, more just to see if it could be done. So it actually was pretty easy. The two different ones, if you look at them when you get them back on the table, the largest one was taken out of a full pod, and the other two smaller ones were done, I split one in half, and it really does make a big difference in the final outcome. The one split in half was much tougher to do, so I don't know why, but I guess there's just less structure there to work with. Banksia pod. Banksia pod is basically a seed pod off from the Banksia tree out of, I think it's Australia? Yeah. So it's a very weird looking thing to start with, and it's got some very unique characteristics when you get into it. It's hard as a rock inside, the outside actually has a velvet fuzz all the way around it. I've tried doing that before, but being that the seed pods are actually encased in something, epoxy doesn't stick, whole thing pops out. Now, I have not tried like a pressure pour or anything like that to see if I can get that out first before I do. I just tried working stuff in there, but it just didn't stay. As soon as I put a chisel to it, it started popping all over the place. I did it just like I would a bowl. I basically put the pod on the lathe as a propeller and started cutting it like I would a natural edge piece. Put a full-size tenon on the back side of it. That was a little tricky because there's no structure, there's different things, so I had to find a spot where it would run. And then just went at it like I would a platter or a bowl. Okay.
That's what I'm shooting for, right? I need to go up. My name is Tom Sampson. I'm also the newsletter editor. I tend to, think about sculpture a little bit, and the start for this was really a mistake, right? So here's the other half of this big one. So as Gary was talking about these darn cracks and things, I tend to look at them as potential. So I'll put those broken pieces up on my shelf and and see if any ideas come to mind. And to me, they look like seashells, right, or ammonites. I'm a geologist by trade. I'm thinking fossils, rocks. So that was the genesis for this piece. Was number one, a mistake, and there's the other half. And I was just playing around with epoxy and playing with it first, and then I assembled pieces. I'm thinking, three of these look together, they got some texture to them, so I'm carving and trying to replicate, the genesis of an ammonite, but not necessarily reproduce it, right? I think it's very challenging to reproduce something exactly, and it never looks right, so. But the concept idea is there. You have the arc, you have some curves, and then maybe some fossilized centers, something like that. So, there were some technical issues here. How is it joining? There's one bolt in the bottom. Securing it all together. And it's actually fairly stable. I was surprisingly happy with that. And there's little supports in there, so I have one post, and I have little hand-carved arcs. Yeah. Well, I gotta go back in time then. So the other half of that, I was learning how to make can see there's a divot on this big one, right? So that would have been the hole I was hollowing out of. And here's the other half. So you can see where that big piece was at, pretty much that big when I was hollowing it. And I went a little too far, and that's why it cracked, and, I got pretty thin on it.
That was a wonderful experience from that far, wasn't it?
It didn't fly apart, it just cracked, and like, bugger,
I got one like that stuck in the ceiling.
Well, I try not to go that far, but yeah, I have had, once or twice in my life, had pieces come off, but it's just pine, white pine. And you can see kind of that streaking in there. That's called blue stain, I believe. Oh, I was talking about the bottom. So I got the one post in there, and then I have a slate base, and I wanted to elevate that a little bit. And so I made these feet with magnets, rare earth magnets, because I was worried about, somebody's moving around and snapping the feet off if I glued them. So there we go.
That's a hard one to top, don't you think, Tom?
That would be hard to top.
Come down a little to my height, normal height. Yeah. Hi, I'm Tom Penninga. I saw some tops in a YouTube video and said, I could make a better one than that. And about 10 iterations later, this is what I came up with. There's supposed to be a Spanish dancing lady, and they actually are tops. If you, somebody challenged me to try to demonstrate them here. So if you politely reach under her dress, there's a small hole there. And if you put the string in there, don't get too nervous, I can do it. Get nervous? All right, I'll do this. Hurry up, Tom.
So what did you do to go through your different iterations? Did they change size or shape?
Well, a bunch of things, but and they will spin much better than that if you give it a good yank. But, so, it's kind of a different twist on the top. And my iterations, if you get them too tall, they'll fall over. So you got to have most of the weight at the bottom, I found. And if you make her hair too short, it will catch on the side of the sombrero and not spin on you. So I have a whole bunch at home that don't work, but but these do. So, and they're made out of maple.
Do we have anyone online with some show and tell?
I have something I can show. Okay, sometimes we get asked to make strange items. So I was commissioned to make a number of these things. Is there anyone that can guess what they're used for? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Believe it or not, they're used for tuning skin drums. And I have to make, these are just prototypes, and I have to make a bunch, about 20 of each out of ebony and olive wood. And then another thing I've been playing with are using different finishes. So these were 2 pepper mills that I made, basically using an osmose finish. This one I ebonized black and then used a silver to fill in the grain on the ash. This was just curly maple. And that's all for today.
Anyone else online?
Looks like we're done, Dave.
Okay, I think what we're gonna do now is raffle off the Nick Agar demonstration pieces that we had that when Nick came around. So we've got 3. And I guess we'll just, I said raffle, I think I meant to say auction. So, and all these 3 they're basically finished to an extent where they have a lid. Some assembly required, I guess I should say. So I guess we'll start with this one. This is Scarcella. Okay, I apologize. Whoop. So we'll just leave it on the light. You can zoom up on that. I don't think so. They were not, or this one was not. Okay. Do you know how to spell Scarcella? No. So we'll start with this one, and I'm not a good auctioneer. Is there a good auctioneer in the house? So if not, I'm just gonna start this myself at $10. Anybody else? $20 in the back there. So this was Jim Scarcella. Anybody else? $10 or no, $20 going once. I think it's sold. We'll do the Viking Bull next. This is Nick Agar. It is not signed. I don't believe it's signed. We can't prove. Well, it's not even really, the tenant is still on the bottom.
We can't hear you online.
I apologize. The Nick Agar Bull, I'll leave it right where I'm supposed to, is not signed. It's not totally complete. The tenant is still on the bottom. So, for me, I would just keep it as a piece, and I'll do the same thing. I'll start with $10 on this one for myself.
Dave, will you ship those if someone online wants it?
What's that? Yes, I think we will. I'll ship it myself. Did someone say 20? Okay, we've got 20 over here. 25. Ken in the back. 30. Oh, get up here, Tom. Go ahead. So we're at 30. Did someone say 35? You said 35. Oh, 30. I'm sorry. 35. We got a bid more here. So 35 for Ken back. $40. $40 going once. 45. Boy, this is exciting. 45. Going once. I'm waiting for that surprise. Hey, I'm trying to unmute online. So, okay, $45. Going once, going twice. Sold to Ken. And the last one is also Nick Agar, not signed. There is if you remember, I can't get this thing open. There's a little boat inside here that goes on the top. There we go. So that's how that is. And once again, I'm going to start at 10. I might actually get into this one too if it goes anywhere, but I'll start at 10. 25 to Tom? 50. 50 to Ron. 60 to Pete. $100. 110. All right. 125. You'll let it go? Anybody else? Anybody else? 125 to Ron. Going once, going twice, sold. Is it going to end up as a bird base?
No, I'll put a swan on the water.
There you go. All right, I'm going to hand this to you, and I think we're ready for a 10-minute break, and then we're going to get back and we're going to get Tom started.